Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story so wild it sounds like a modern-day internet hoax, but it happened over 200 years ago. We're talking about the great fake news of the 1800s, a time when a well-placed lie in a newspaper could build fortunes and topple empires. Forget social media bots. We're going back to the age of ink, steam, and some seriously audacious deception. So picture this. It's the early 19th century. Europe is a powder keg, and Napoleon Bonaparte is the man with the match. The fate of nations hangs on every battle, and information is the most valuable currency. But here's the catch. Getting news was incredibly slow. No internet, no telegraph, no 24-hour news channels. News traveled at the speed of a horse or a ship. This delay, this information gap, was a playground for the clever and the corrupt. Enter the world of finance in London and Paris. Stock exchanges were buzzing, but they were operating in a fog of uncertainty. The value of government bonds, the 19th century equivalent of today's blue-chip stocks, was directly tied to the war effort. If Napoleon won a battle, British bond prices would plummet. If the British and their allies won, prices would soar. Fortunes were made and lost in a single day based on battlefield rumors. This is where our story gets juicy. A handful of incredibly shrewd financiers realized something profound. You didn't need to know the news first. You just needed everyone to think you did. And better yet, why wait for the news when you could just create it? This was the birth of a sophisticated form of market manipulation, powered by good old-fashioned fake news. Let's look at one of the most famous examples, which reads like a script from a heist movie. In February 1814, rumors were already swirling that Napoleon was on the brink of defeat. The market was on edge. Then, one night, a man dressed in a military uniform arrived in the English coastal town of Dover. He claimed to be a messenger, Lieutenant Colonel Dubourg, riding straight from the battlefields of France. He announced incredible news. Napoleon had been killed. The Allied forces were marching on Paris. Victory was at hand. He spread this story throughout the town, paid for a celebratory drink, and then galloped off towards London, making sure everyone saw his urgent departure. The news spread like wildfire. Local newspapers, eager for a scoop, printed the story. Messengers on horseback carried the good news to the capital. When the story hit the London Stock Exchange, it was pure pandemonium. The price of government bonds skyrocketed. People were ecstatic, believing the long, bloody war was finally over. They poured their life savings into the market, desperate to cash in on the victory rally. In the midst of this buying frenzy, a small, coordinated group of investors did the exact opposite. They began quietly selling off all their bonds at these massively inflated prices, making an absolute fortune. And then, silence. Official confirmation never arrived. As the hours ticked by, suspicion grew. The next day, the government released the truth. The story was a complete fabrication. Napoleon was very much alive, and the war was still raging. The market crashed instantly. Bond prices fell even lower than before the hoax. The people who had bought at the peak were financially ruined. Thousands of families lost everything. But the masterminds behind the lie? They had already walked away with millions in today's money. This wasn't just a one-off event. It was a strategy. Financial predators used a network of couriers, carrier pigeons, and even visual telegraph systems called semaphores to get a jump on the market. They would get real news just a few hours early, which was enough to make a killing. But the boldest among them, like the creators of the Colonel Dubourg hoax, didn't even need real news. They understood a fundamental truth about human psychology. In the absence of information, people will cling to a compelling story, especially one they want to believe. Think about the sheer audacity of it. To stage a performance so convincing it fools an entire nation. They hired actors, forged documents, and timed their deception perfectly to cause maximum financial impact. The investigation that followed was a sensation, revealing a web of conspiracy that went right to the top of society. Lord Cochrane, a celebrated naval hero and member of Parliament, was even implicated and convicted, though he maintained his innocence for the rest of his life. So why does this 200-year-old story matter today? Because the game hasn't changed, only the technology. The core elements are exactly the same. We still have an information gap, though now it's measured in microseconds, not days. We still have markets that react violently to news and rumors. And we still have people who are willing to exploit fear and greed for personal gain. Today, a fake tweet from a hacked account, a doctored video, or a network of AI-powered bots can send markets into a nosedive or pump up a worthless stock. The goal is the same: to create a false reality, trigger an emotional reaction, and profit from the chaos that follows. The story of the Great Stock Exchange hoax of 1814 is a powerful reminder that fake news isn't a new problem. It's a timeless strategy of manipulation. It teaches us the critical importance of skepticism and verification. Before we react, before we share, before we invest our emotions or our money, we have to ask, where is this information coming from? Who benefits from me believing it? Is there an official source to confirm it? Back then, the cost of not asking these questions was financial ruin. Today, the stakes can be just as high, affecting not just our wallets, but the very stability of our society. The past is never really past, is it? The echoes of Colonel de Bourgh's lie can be heard in the digital noise of our modern world. It's a fascinating, cautionary tale about the power of information and the enduring art of the lie. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this slice of history as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the hidden stories that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what you think. Could a hoax like this happen today? See you in the next video.